Now, agriculture in Kenya dominates Kenya's economy, being the largest contributor in Kenya's gross domestic product, which is the GDP. And according to the report by World Bank, women make up 80% of Kenyan farmers. In defiance of the majority, they encounter a number of challenges. Now, that will be our main discussion this afternoon on Business Insight. I do hope your day has been treating you well. My name is Shaban. Let's just get right into it before we get to our main discussion. Kenya is set to host the Global Conference on Sustainable Blue Economy, targeting at least 6,000 participants across the world. The conference, dubbed Blue Economy and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, will address technologies on tapping resources on water-based sectors that are oceans, lakes, and big rivers.
Kenya earns less gross domestic products from the blue economy, saying there is need to optimally use country's water resources for sustainable development. The key discussions at the conference will center on using sustainable blue economy for accelerated economic growth, job creation, and poverty eradication. It will also address on controlling pollution, climate change, and loss of marine biodiversity.
We cannot have a sustainable blue ocean economy without thinking about the issues of environmental conservation, the issues of environmental mitigation and adoption as relates to water sources.
The conference expects countries, including Kenya, to establish partnerships and networks and to sign contracts with other interested stakeholders, public and private sectors.
Intention actually is that we shall be organizing a business forum, working with the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry, working with the Kenya private sector entity, working with the Kenya Manufacturers Association, and reaching out to Ken Invest and other entities that will help us get businessmen here.
It will be the first time that Kenya and Canada will co-host the conference, offering the world a platform to discuss how to enhance the productivity and sustainability of rivers, lakes, and oceans. Canada has biggest blue economy return in the world.
We're honored to be co-hosting, and we're working closely with Kenya to make it a conference that will help participating states transition to the blue economy.
And therefore, we're looking to bringing that conversation with the business people, with our partners, in terms of facilitating intra-Africa trade, also growing that space, using and leveraging on the shipping and maritime transport.
However, some parts of the nation are endowed with water resources, a large part being arid and semi-arid, which is a challenge to be dealt with so as to meet the country's development aspirations. Milia Kisenya, EPRA TV.
All right, Millie Kisenya right there. Thank you so much for that report. Moving on, the government of Kenya has signed a grant agreement valued as a way to enhance the capacity of the President's delivery unit. The grant, to be offered by the African Development Bank, is targeted at strengthening the human resource and systems capacity of the unit to enable it to monitor progress.
The grant, which will be given in form of technical assistance valued at $1.7 million or 170 million Kenyan shillings for the delivery unit to enable coordination of interministerial dependencies in line with the programs of the Big Four agenda. The bank's head for the East African region, Gabriel Negatu, pointed out some key government projects are aligned with the bank's priorities over transformative Africa.
We are confident that it will indeed help Kenya achieve that vision of graduating into an industrial middle-class, middle-income country.
It focusing really on the Big Four, where we think will make a big difference and giving it the necessary capacity support.
Chief of Staff Nzioka Waita indicated that the grant will provide the much-needed boost in technical expertise and tools to enhance delivery tracking within the East African region and beyond.
Accelerate our medium-term plan 3 and will take us even closer to achieving our aspirations on the Vision 2030.
President Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, comprising 4 key areas of priority covering provision of universal health coverage, manufacturing, affordable housing and food security, has been under scrutiny on its delivery, with Kenyatta pegging on their full implementation on his last term in the presidency. Kevin Kabuya, EPRA TV Business.
Graffiti has gained popularity in the local scene in recent years, with many hotels and entertainment sports embracing the art to attract more customers. Now, many young people have also turned it into a venture to generate more income. In this afternoon's segment on how things are made, we focus on the art of graffiti.
Meet Eugene Jr. Odhiambo, a graffiti artist. Today he's working on a set for a show in one of the most famous television station studios in the country. But how does it all go about?
The client wanted a graffiti to be done for a few different shows, so he needed something bright and vibrant for the show. And I decided to do something like this, the graffiti, something to do with the tribal African theme. And as you can see here, this is more of a funky and more of an urban funky thing going on right here. What I require is basically the client's idea. Like I usually deal with what he really wants, he or she wants. We can talk and I can get an idea of what he wants for the project and everything. And sometimes I can use either his or her design to like come up with a concept, and some of the times I usually use my designs to come up with the concept of the entire project. Yeah, the whole process usually starts with, of course, you need the paint and a few tools like, you know, the air compressor and an airbrush gun. A project like this one, we had to use bright colors, so I had to use a lot of colors, but not that much, because I'm good in mixing colors. So I can use like an example of this one. We had to use like something vibrant, like in terms of purple. I use different shades of purple, and of course you have to use the white and black, which are standard colors in terms of art. So they have to complement the entire artwork. Yeah, some can take a day, even if it can take a day or two. Some can take a month. Some can take a few, even 4 or 3 months. This is basically just gives me the idea. It creates some sort of mood for me to draw what I really need for the project. For instance, if I look at a picture from here, I won't like draw the exact picture. I just manipulate it a bit to fit the type of artwork I want. Yeah.
Many young people in the country are now embracing this art as a profession with the hopes of a better income.
You know, if you're good at what you do, of course, it does pay. Like, it never used to pay like before, but nowadays it's the in thing. And if you're good at what you do, it's just like music. If people love your music, of course, they have to pay for it in terms of concerts and everything.
This word graffiti is derived from an Italian word, graffio, which means a scratch, and it is the plural of the word graffito. Modern-day graffiti can be traced back to Philadelphia during the late 60s. During this period, it was mostly used by political activists to pass a message.
As much as I'm into corporate, I'm also working with the Jokali sector, branding matatus. I've branded like a lot of matatus so far. I'm done like almost 38 matatus right now, and more coming. Just be honest with yourself. Just do something that can earn a living legally, not illegally. Yeah.
There is an ever-rising need for government and other educational institutions to take up this art serious so that many young people can embrace art for self-employment. Njeri Njogo for Ebru Business News.
An inspiring story right there. Do something that will help you earn a living legally, not illegally. That's something that is worth taking home. Women are the backbone of the rural economy, especially in developing countries. They make up almost half of the world's farmers. With that said, as the global community works toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, which aims to end hunger and malnutrition by 2030, women can be the key agents of change in agriculture, nutrition and rural development. With better access to information, training and technology, women can alter food production and consumption so that land and resources are used sustainably. However, women have been facing challenges getting this information and new technology to boost agriculture. In today's segment, we're focusing on women in agriculture And in studio, I'm joined by two ladies from the African Women Agribusiness Network, Felicia Miruki, who's in the honey business, and Susan Jerry, who's in the fish farming business. And ladies, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, I'd just like us to start off. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I'd like us to start off with underlining for us briefly the state of women in agriculture from your different positions and from your point of view. Who'd like to start first?
I can go first.
All right, there you go.
As you rightly mentioned, women are the backbone of agriculture, not only in Kenya, in East Africa, and even in Africa indeed. And more than 70% of these women are the people who produce food in our countries. But unfortunately for us, very few of that is felt. Do they receive the benefits of that? So I think coming here today and talking about women in agriculture, and even in our own businesses, we want to see how we can strengthen this and see women reaping more benefits from agriculture as opposed to toiling in agriculture and agribusiness, but not reaping the values from it.
All right. Yeah. Now, Suzanne, you're into the fish business. Maybe you can give us your take from that angle.
Well, in the fishery
sector... It's like you don't even know where to start from.
Well, yeah, it's pretty wide. But when you look at it, fisheries was more known because of capture fisheries. Now we have aquaculture, which a lot more women are now engaged in practically and physically on a day-to-day basis, unlike where they have to wait for the fishermen to come in with a catch, for them then now to take it on and then sell it at the markets. It has not been easy. Remember that aquaculture is literally a very new baby on the block, having started in 2009 during the economic stimulus program. The information that came from there, because it was a stimulus program that kind of jacked up the sector, we didn't have so much information from start to end, apart from what we got from the extension. So we kind of learned on, it was work in progress.
Yeah.
So that's where we've come from. But yes, women have been able to live up to the challenge. We are fantastic producers. I think a lot of women have taken it up. And due to the fact that it's now pond-based, it's easily manageable because it's within your compound. Now we've even gone an extra mile. We are in cages on the lake.
Wow.
So given the opportunity, women will be able to explore and be able to take that up and move the next step. Because we've been used to the traditional thing of its capture, its export. But then what about the local? And that's where we are looking at focusing on. Can we feed ourselves first as we think about how do we then feed the other guys?
All right, and which leads me to my second question. The majority of women in Kenya comprise of the high number of small and medium-scale farmers. Why is it that they do not benefit from their efforts?
I think one of the challenges is who are we building it for? Is it sustainable agriculture, or is it building for your homestead, as opposed to, are you doing the agriculture and the agribusiness, adding value to it for market, and which markets? So it's that whole thing of start with the end in mind and get the right soil, your soil tested, get the professionals in, get the right agronomists in to educate and to build your business as a business, not as a hobby, not as something that you take time off to do. So I think there's a big challenge in how we practice agriculture. Yes, we have the capacity, but I think we have to use the right technology. We have to use the right breeds if we're doing livestock or even breeding the right seeds. And then the logistics of how do we get to market? Because we can do all the right things on the farm and then fail in going to market or even reaching the right markets. So always start with the end in mind. And sometimes it means I have only 5 acres. What are my other neighbors doing, and what research did I do to get to grow what I'm growing? So can I even come together with my neighbors and bulk and go to market? I mean, technology is amazing in helping us leapfrog some of these things. And I think the more we know about it and the more we're using it and learn from others, extension services, yes, but also field visits. We've seen some very successful farms and it's very meaningful to go and see what others are doing and what they're succeeding in. So sharing that information and having a platform where you can even read and educate yourself and learn and do better, because I think the opportunities are there. We just have not left
Comfort zone as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I also think that when we start our agribusiness ventures, we never think far ahead. We are always just within here. And that limits us, because when we get to a place of, say, being successful, then we don't know how to explode beyond there, because we only projected for 300 chicken. And then now when we get the opportunity for 1,000, you're stuck. We are completely stuck. And then having a challenge, again, like she said, of if we could be able to take in the numbers, what's my neighbor doing? So that we can also have consistency. I have 300 chicken in January, she has in February, the next person in March, the next person in April. So when you're also serving a market, you're able to serve a market continuously throughout the year. Getting technical expertise, proper technical expertise, it's not only the academia or the extension. For me, going to learn from experience. We shy off from wanting to pay a farmer to learn from them. But you know, that's the guy who's been through it all. So we need to invest more in ourselves in being able to see what's the next person doing and learn from it. Because then that way it stops you from reinventing the wheel that the other person did. So you're able to flow seamlessly without having to go through the challenges that others have experienced.
Okay, Felicia and Suzanne, what I'm getting from you is that in a nutshell, you as a farmer, you should be able to properly do your research. So what is stopping the farmers from doing the research? Is it the fact that the information is not visible enough? What is stopping our farmers, especially the women, from doing our research? Before we start talking about also the other challenges that women go through
I think one of the things that has been there is the hype. Tomatoes are in season, let's all plant tomatoes. So everybody plants tomatoes without even thinking, is it right for my area? What capacity am I going to do? Now, one of the challenges of generally the African farmer, the minute you give me 10 acres of land, I think about tilling the 10 acres of land. I don't think about going it gradually. So that's one of our biggest challenges, and we need to change the mindset by being able to go small, but then be able to do better productivity. Two, like she said, we're not looking at our soils. We assume that because my grandfather put manure, that's the same thing I'm going to do. And because the agronomist I find who says put DAP, CN, is it the right manure for my crop? Is it the right thing for my soil? So we need to understand that CalRO is now accessible to us. Before there's been a big disconnect between the practitioner and research.
All right.
They are now trying to come down to our levels. We need to do more, government needs to do more, counties need to do more, farmers' field days. You know, those opportunities need to come out. So the more it's closer home. Not everybody can come to the Nairobi show, but I can be able to go to Kisumu show. So the more we can be able to access field demonstrations, coming closer to home, then it gives us the opportunity to be able to open up our eyes and look at things from a totally different perspective.
All right, I'm sorry for shocking you. I'm shocked myself because my director tells me we have run out of time and this interview is just getting even more interesting. So I'd like us to go through our remaining key points very fast. We have mentioned the few challenges that women actually go through when it comes to matters agriculture. You mentioned research and also technology, and the government and the different sectors that are involved in agriculture should be able to try and bridge the gap, bringing it closer to the farmers, considering most farmers are in the rural areas. Now, agriculture is one of the government's big four agenda. What role do women play when it comes to this, considering they are now 80% of women, the ones who are doing agriculture, and agriculture is the economy driver in the country?
I think one of the roles for women need to be on the decision-making table. Absolutely. Because that's the only way we are going to start having impact. And we need to move away from political appointees to sit on government boards. By having people who have got the experience, it's not necessarily the academic background, the experience.
Experience is key,
is key to being able to start making a difference so that we can have the voice of women on that table. So I think that's one of the most important things. The second thing is when women work together and network, then that way we build a stronger base and we become a stronger team to be able then to leverage on a lot of the things that are going on. We lose a lot of opportunity because I have the information, you don't have it. But when we're able to come together on a platform, then that is really going to be able to help us escalate what we need to do.
A platform like the one you're on right
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
before, that will be my last question to you. But Felicia, kindly do tell us, to achieve the Global Sustainable Development Goal, hunger must be abolished completely. And what are women doing in terms of training, new technology to increase productivity?
So we're running a program called Value for Her. And basically what we're saying is if we have an e-hub, are women able to access this? It's going to be information and technology to help us leapfrog. I think there is enough going on, there's enough learning that we can do and build capacity for women to actually achieve food on the table, food and nutrition. But we have to know what is it that I need to do, what does my neighbor need to do to be able to achieve that. And it means going together. Quality, consistency, and quantity to be able to get that. And infrastructure, government is doing a lot to build the infrastructure, but then we have to engage and actually be there to do our little small thing and together add it up. So Awan is doing something with a e-hub, developing an e-hub, but women have to register digitally to be able to know who's doing what where. So when we're saying let's go to market, who can plug in there? There are many apps, there's a lot of data, but is it appropriate data? How is it packaged? So in knowing what the need is, then we're able to address it effectively so that we're going to market together with the right products at the right time and knowing what's happening in Tanzania, what's happening in Uganda to be able to meet that. But I think it's about going together, it's about building each other's capacity and growing the right things professionally to be able to meet that market.
All right. Would you like to add maybe a
I think the other
sentence
thing that we are trying to do is also reach out to the other woman. There's a woman in Pokot who's doing something nice, but does she know of any other farmer anywhere else or just a farmer in Pokot? By bringing the women in agribusiness roundtable, is saying, women, let's go visit the other women. Let's strengthen each other and say, you're on the right track. How else can I help you? And giving them the opportunity of also seeing what's happening on the other side. Just doing our own informal engagements will really be able to make a difference because we have a lot of post-harvest losses, I think, are the biggest challenge that we have. Not too long ago, tomatoes were going bad in Yahuru.
Yes.
Why? A few years ago, we were pouring milk. Why? Value addition. So if we can be able to start adding value at the farm, even if it's 1 or 2 levels, then it means we can be able to have a better product and we can be able to harness the market.
On that note right there, what is the African Women Agribusiness Network doing when it comes to martyrs, women in agriculture?
So in terms of capacity and training, we've had a Women Enterprise Development Program where we're asking the women, it's about training. Yes, you have tomatoes, but the market doesn't want tomatoes the same way and the same variety that we had 10 years ago. There's a lot of research that has happened. Can we plug into the research that has gone on? Can we produce something interesting? Can we do our packaging more interesting the way the market is demanding? Can we then go to market together or call the suppliers so that, because what we have noticed is services come to groups. When you go it alone, you may not get exactly at the cost that you want, but it's more efficient and cost effective and because of economies of scale to get the services at a lower rate. So when we come to standards, what standards are you using? When you call CABS or Bureau Veritas to help, then they come with a better price for you. So value addition is key, and that comes in manufacturing and part of the big 4. The other thing is technology. We have to use technology. There's no way we can avoid it. So embrace it and see how we can, your prices, your varieties, tilling. So all those things go hand in hand. And I think Awan is in the business of connecting women online and getting the resources to help us move together. Coaching, mentoring, and adding value to our products.
All right. No one would ever think that you need coaching and mentoring when it comes to martyrs farming.
I think that's one of the most important things that we tend to forget, and for me that's one of the key and strong points that I do work with. We need to mentor each other.
Absolutely.
If I move up, if I move another 5 women under me, and each of them moved another 5, can you imagine how much change we'd be able to bring into what we're producing? Cost of production in this country is very high because of the raw materials. But if we can be able to harness that, then again we can bring costs down. 2, we can then make food accessible, affordable, and available. And healthy food for that matter. How are we handling food in our markets? Look at the hawkers in town. Go to Wakulima Market. it's an eyesore. Why are we doing that? But can we be able to hold those women and say, this is the best way to do it? Do we have traceability systems into place? If we work together, then you can be able to know where the fish comes from. It's Suzanne's fish, it's so-and-so's fish.
Yeah.
So you're able to actually have a whole traceability system. And that way, when you have those kind of standards, I think we'll be able to have raised a bit.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up this interview. I wish, me too, because you definitely have a lot of information to give, but you surely do appreciate next time we will get more time. Thank you so much for keeping it Ebrity with our Business Insight this afternoon. My name is Shaban. I was seated with Felicia Maruki and Suzanne Jerry from the African Women Agribusiness Network. Please do keep it Ebrity. We still have quite a number of programming coming up your way. I'll be seeing you later on for 9 p.m. primetime news. Have a good afternoon.